Real estate rock stars, what's happening? Hey, real estate rock stars, Coach Borino with you. Got a good tip for you. I saw a post on Rockstars. I'm like, let me jump on. Let's talk to my peeps. Let's address something so you guys can make more of these. Yeah? Help more people, get more leads, get more listings. Have a good time in this crazy business. That's what we're going to talk about today. How are you, my friends? Hope your day's going well. Hope you're not freezing yet. It's going to be like 16 or 12 degrees tomorrow morning here in Washington, D.C., Virginia. Super freezing, so stay warm. Stay safe. Okay, should we jump into it? Are you guys ready? Welcome, everybody. Kim, good to see you. Donna, Mike, Tarun with us. Lovely to have you guys. Welcome. If you have any questions, just post them in the chat and I'll answer. But the one I wanted to answer comes from Anthony. Anthony writes, so recently my wife and I lost out on a listing because the agent was in before us. Told the homeowner that the home was worth more than we did. We ran extensive comps for this house, as it was a neighborhood with many unique homes, not newer cookie cutter type subdivision. We went over each of these comps with the owner in detail, but it was obvious that she was turned off by our difference in price. The condition of the home and comps do not anyway support it, etc., etc. So here is the problem that Anthony ran into, and you guys probably do too. And I have 6 points that I want to share with you to help you. You prepare for a listing. You have a motivated seller who's clearly ready to sign, ready to list. You go in there. You do a good presentation. You genuinely want to help these people. You're prepared. You know the neighborhood. You know the prices. You're ready to rock and roll it. You have a good rapport with the seller. You come to the pricing, and suddenly it goes. Boink. Disintegrates. The whole thing falls apart. It happened to every single one of us, right? At one point, if you had at least one listing presentation, you know the feeling. You just can tell. You can tell by their body language. You can tell by their expression. Sometimes even the communication just takes on a very different quality. Where they're frustrated, they're disappointed, they're irritated, and they start stalling. And they either tell you or they don't tell you. You may get things like, we don't think about it, and then 2-3 days later, they end up listing with another agent. Has it happened to you? Of course it has, right? It's part of this crazy business. So 5 or 6 different things that I wrote down that I want to give to you guys to help you, how to prevent these situations, how to help these folks, because I know you come from a genuine desire to help. I understand you want to do right by your clients. And the last thing you want is an overpriced listing. I hate those. We don't need to go into details why that's a bad deal for everybody. Overpriced listing doesn't help anyone. So today, 6 practical tips to help you avoid that. Yes, cool, thumbs up. Will that be helpful? What do you guys say? I'm just checking the stream. Looks good, right? Everything looks good. Audio is good, video is good. You guys can hear me. Good, awesome. So let's get to it. What do you do when something like that happens? How do you prevent that? Okay, good. So all is well. Start with this one question. Let me write that down for you here. How, and this is an important word, certain are you when it comes to price? How certain are you? How much of an expertise do you have as far as knowledge? This is what impacts the value of the property, the school district, the size, the location, why this property sold for $20,000 more than that one, why that one took 3 months to sell as opposed to that one who took 3 days. How big of an expert are you? How confidently can you speak to the seller? And I'm not talking about the actual verbal presentation we're going to get to in just a moment, but how confidently can you really sit down with the seller and deliver information where you're certain? Because there are 2 numbers you need to know as an expert. These are expected from you. This is expected. Sellers want certainty. They want certainty. They want a certainty. And they want to know 2 prices. They want to know number 1, they want the number, what is the ideal list price that will cause the property to sell? What price should it be listed at for the property to sell, and how much is he going to sell for? They need to know that. They want to know that. They expect you to tell them that. And we're not talking about appraisal here. We both know that appraisal sometimes is dead on and sometimes it's way off, both up or down. But you as an educated expert, you as an experienced advisor, as a counselor, as a rock star, you need to know what price, list price, will cost the property to sell, and what approximately, but pretty close, is it going to sell for? In other words, you are not there to determine what the house is worth. And this needs to be part of your communication. And this is where the rubber hits the road. This is where it becomes important. You're not there to talk about what the house is worth. So the dialogue goes something like this. During my listing presentation, I would say something like, John, Mary, I know one of the biggest things, one of the most important elements of all this is to determine how much is the house going to sell for and how much cash you're going to put in your pocket after we're done. I know that really matters to you. I know that's important. Now, let me make clear, we're not here to discuss what the house is worth. We're here to discuss what is it going to sell for. What list price will it cause it to sell? Here's what I mean. Now I do what's called emotional decoupling. You guys who have my listing presentation plus, you've studied this. It's a human psychology. We need to take them through this process. It goes something like this. Now I'm going to give you a condensed version. But it goes something like, you raised your kids here. You've been here for over 20 years. I'm sure you love the house. You've done all these improvements. You put blood, sweat, and tears into it. You watched your children grow here at Thanksgiving here, at Christmas here. You've done all this phenomenal work to it. It means a lot. This is your home. This is not a house to you. It's a home. And in your heart, you may feel like it's worth $1 million or more. You can't put a price tag on it. So we're not here to discuss what it's worth. We're here to discuss what list price will it cause it to sell, and how much is it going to sell for, and of course, how long would it take to get it sold? Because once you move out, once you take out all this lovely furniture and drapes and all your things, a home turns into a house. It becomes a commodity. And unlike home, house is a very specific price because it's just walls, windows, doors, and empty space. And unlike home, house is a very specific price. And buyer will go through a simple process of comparison. What can they get for their money? What is the best value? They're going to fall in love with the price, then they're going to fall in love with the house. And once they buy it, we're going to close the deal. You're going to be in Florida. They're going to move in and turn it into their home. So let's look at those two numbers. And there we do, and then I go into a CMA. So what I've done is the emotional decoupling. I detach emotionally because I know one thing, and this is the most important part I'm going to give you today, guys. This is important. You experience this. Even the most analytical, most intellectual, most right, most left brain dominant analytical people make emotional decisions. Otherwise, wouldn't it be just you present the CMA, they look at the numbers, you both agree at the same price, done. They will go, that makes perfect sense, where do we sign? When was the last time that happened? When was the last time we had a listing presentation where you went through the CMA, they said, yeah, sure, makes sense, great. 450, sure, let's sign, let's go. That never happened. I've done hundreds of listing presentations. That never happened to me. Has that ever happened to you, any of you? Of course not. Why? The culprit is emotion. See, the seller has a very specific price in mind. You must know these numbers as well. And you must be just as certain as the seller. Now, I don't ever want you to go into a tug of war. I don't want you to go arm wrestle with the seller. That's the least thing you want to do. And the way agents bury themselves is they start reasoning and logically pushing on the seller, quoting more details, showing more pictures, going more data and stats. That's the worst you're going to do, because then the emotion you're going to trigger is resistance, fear, anger. They're going to get pissed off at you. Now, you, my students, know this. LTR. These are probably the three most important letters that either bring a lot of these or not a lot. In order for every single client you've ever dealt with to do business with you, they must like you, trust you, and respect you first. And they always, every single time, 100%, no exceptions, list with an agent they like, trust, and respect the most. You think they're going to go with an agent who quotes them the highest price. And I say, nay, nay. They simply like that agent more, they trust that agent more, they respect that agent more. Now, of course, they like the number. But think about it this way. Two agents present. One quotes 50,000 higher, but they don't like and trust that agent as much as you. Who do you think they would go with? Well, if they trust you more, if they respect your opinion and advice more, of course they would go with you. So the issue is not the price, the issue is the emotion. The moment you start fighting internally with the seller, presenting more facts, pushing harder, convincing them, you're triggering negative emotion. You're dropping your like, trust, and respect score. It goes down instantly. It happens very quickly. It's a very emotional process. So it's the last thing I want you to do. Here is better approach, more practical approach. Let me just explain. The moment you start triggering these emotions, you make the seller feel stupid. Not directly, of course, and not intentionally. I get that. But deep inside, they suddenly feel stupid, and they're going to resent that. Nobody wants to be told they're wrong. Nobody wants to be told they're stupid. Nobody wants to be felt like, well, your thinking is wrong. I'm right. So let me prove it to you. I know you don't want to do that. I know that's not your intention. I get it. But that's what's happening. That's the dynamic. It's happening. This is not a logical process, people. Friends, this is an emotional process. Because we are emotional human beings. All our responses, reactions, every decision we make, every motion that we trigger is created by emotion. Are you with me? Is it making sense so far? It's not that complicated, but it's a different way of looking at it. And it's definitely a different way of teaching you this stuff than most other trainers do, right? It's all based on emotion. So the last thing you want them to feel is stupid, inadequate, uneducated, dumb. And those are emotions. Now, again, it's not on the logical level, but subconsciously that's what they feel. The resistance comes from that. And the way to demonstrate that resistance, they will tell you, we're going to think about it, we don't know what we're going to do, we like the other agent better. They told us 50,000 more. So now, practically, what can you do about that? Let me give you some points. Point number one, win first. SFI. The outcome at the end, good listing, good price, happy seller, is to a great degree established at the beginning. If at the beginning you win them, you win their heart first before you win their mind. The first interaction, that goes way back how you generated that lead in the first place. And again, this is not something they take notes, like they have a notepad and they go, well, let me see how I feel about Anthony. Well, remember when he called us the first time? He said that he was in the business for 4 years. That really gave him 7 points on the experience. They don't do a deep analysis like that. It's just a deep-rooted emotion. Suddenly they say, here is a test. If I were to contact any one of your sellers, anyone you've ever dealt with, and I would ask, why did you pick Jane? Why did you pick Anthony? Why did you pick Bob? They wouldn't give me a list of 17 things. That wouldn't be logical. It'd be like, we like them. He took good care of us. He's a good guy. She's a nice agent. It's an emotional thing, but it happens at the beginning. The strong first impression you create at the beginning sets up a filter. And through this filter, they start perceiving you. They either like you or not so much. They either have a lot of respect for you or not a whole lot. They trust you or not so much. They want to do business with you. They're compelled. They want your help or not. It happens at the beginning. So be very, very careful how you come across at the beginning. The first interaction, whether it's a phone call, it's a text, it's a personal face-to-face meeting, whether it's an expired listing, visible, open house, doesn't matter. Strong first impression, that's number one. That's the first foundation of it all. Because at the beginning, if you really screw it up, it's almost impossible to recover. There's like, I always say, real estate is like dating. And if a single lady is in the bar and the guy comes up and comes across as Mr. Creep, you know, hey baby, can I buy you a drink? How about my place? How do you recover from that? You can't. So if you make a poor first impression, either too aggressive, too salesy, too strong, or needy, low status, sleazebag, it's impossible to recover once the first impression is made. It gets set in stone very quickly. Step one, good, strong first impression. That's numero uno. Number two, we mentioned right here, be certain, really know your shit, know your market. You know what you're talking about. If an appraiser can determine the price, so can you. If an appraiser can figure out what the property is valued at, you can too. Now, yes, Your perspective is different. You take a broader picture. You must take into consideration other areas. Because buyers sometimes don't just take one little pocket. They take, well, we can get a 4-bedroom house in this neighborhood, or we can get a smaller 3-bedroom house, but it's in this neighborhood. They compare all that. You need to be aware. What is the overall value? How would a buyer look at it? Important to know. Makes sense, my friends? So number 2, know your stuff. Must be certain. And it really comes down to studying the market, really know it well, understand what impacts the value of the house, and what you can do about it. Strategy number 3 I'm going to give you is called pre-emptive strike. Now I'm going to attempt to spell it. We'll see how it goes. Pre-emptive. I should bring my daughter. She's 12. She would probably spell it better and write it nicer than this. Pre-emptive strike. So here's what it means. You know that you're never, ever, ever the only agent the seller talks to. You're never the only one. There's always somebody else, right? You're always going up against at least one more agent. Even if the person you're listing is your Aunt Edna. Even then. Aunt Edna is a bitch. All right, preemptive strike. If I know that, I'll take the seller through a pre-qualification, pre-listing process. That's important because 1, I will get clarity, what is it they're trying to do. 2, they will get clarity. 3, it will establish myself, I'll set up a frame as I'm the counselor, guide, expert, high status agent in control here. All 3 need to happen. It's all part of that sequence. During that process, I will ask them a few questions before I see them for the listing appointment. It is something like a nurse doing the basic routine when you come and visit a doctor, right? They take your temperature, they measure blood pressure, all that stuff. So I would ask questions like, are you going to interview other agents? You said you wanted to be in Florida and you would like to be there in about 3 months or so. You owe $147,000 on your first mortgage. There's no second mortgage. These kind of questions. One of the questions I would ask, are you going to interview other agents? Awesome. It's a good idea to compare services and get feedback from other agents. That's fine. I never argue with them because no matter what I say, I can't discourage them. But here's what I will say. There are some agents who will try to close you and pressure you to sign the listing with them. Hold off on that. Let me give you my information. And this way you compare and you pick whoever the best agent is, whatever the best price is. Now just be careful. Some agents, and sometimes they lie, sometimes they just don't know, may quote you a price that may not reflect exactly what the home is going to sell for. They will tell you a number you want to hear just to win the listing. Just be careful, be aware of that. I'm looking forward to seeing you on Tuesday. Preemptive strike. I prepare them for it. I'm not saying don't list with that agent. I'm just saying, they may either lie or they really don't know. Just be careful. Let me present, and then you'll make a decision. That's if I'm first. If the agent goes after me, I'll handle it differently during the listing presentation. But I will put a preemptive strike there. I would even mention it during my listing presentation. Now, I know you're interviewing Bob. Be careful. Sometimes the price is a tool to gain your listing, and then they try to reduce the price, or they're hoping, well, at least I'll put my sign up, get a couple of buyers. If the property doesn't sell, I'll take my money, which is not fair to you. But if I do a good job, strong first impression, win them first, understand their position, good positioning as me, and do again really good listing presentation, which I know how, at the end, I will usually get the listing, and I will just push Bob out of the picture completely. So let me take care of it. I know you feel obligated. I know it's kind of awkward to cancel the appointment, but it feels like we really click. We want to work together. Everything seems to check out, so I will cancel it for you. I will be kind to my colleague, of course. And if he doesn't have any buyers, he can line them up. We can get it done quickly. And most of the time, they say, yeah, that'd be great. Number 4, emotional decouple. That's the process I showed you. Because I understand they're emotionally attached to the property. Their number is not based on logic at all. So if I attack it with logic, I'm going to hit a wall. Worse, I'm going to push them away. If their number was based on logic, then they would just go, oh yeah, 450, sure. Make sense? So I need to address the emotion. Because what's the bottom line? Rockstars, you already know that. The seller doesn't set the price. You don't set the price. It's the market. It's what the buyer is willing to pay. You know that number. Seller needs to be clear. They don't pick that number. It is not up to them. And the way I would communicate it, I would say, I wish there was a way for me to make that a reality. But unfortunately, you and I don't control that. It is not up to us. Just like when you're going to be looking for a house down in Florida, you're going to pay what you feel the house is worth, not a penny more. And there's nothing another agent or the seller can do to convince you otherwise. Make an educated decision that this is what the most you're going to pay, because other homes similar to the one you're going to buy are selling for that much. It's the same process. Make sense? Is that helpful? So that's what you need to do. Address the emotion. Emotional decoupling, yes. And then number 5, don't be attached. Don't be attached. Because there are times where they simply like the other agent better. They simply click with the other agent better. They simply have more connection with the other agent. It is always about that connection. You will not get them all. So looking back, if you look at the process, did I set the high, strong first impression? And it's a binary, yes or no. Did I do a good job pre-qualifying them? Yes or no. Did I do a good job as far as my presentation, or could I have done something better? It is not about presenting more. It is not about more numbers, more logic. Did I really connect with them emotionally? Did I do a good social interactive presentation? Because it really comes down to social interaction and a status. Was I the leader that they gladly follow in a sense of excitement because I'm going to make something true where they will feel better by living in Florida? Was there anything else I could have done? And if you're drunken monkey, this little fucker will try to convince you, oh, you should have done more graphs, more pictures, more data. That's not the answer. The answer is always emotional. Did I do the emotional decoupling? And don't be attached. Move on. There's always more. Never be attached to one lead, one listing, one transaction, one situation. Learn from it. You're going to get better. It's a process. It took me a couple of years to really master listing presentation. It took me 2 years to really get it down, dialed in, so all these things were pretty automatic and pretty easy. Because once I discovered, hey, if it's easy for me, if I'm having a good time with these people, if it's all based on emotion and trust, if I don't have to be so attached on little details and logic, even with the engineers and accountants, even those folks who are highly educated, know the market well, will at the end make an emotional decision. And if they want more for their house, I understand that they're not coming from logic, they're coming from emotion. I'll be okay. And I will get, again, numbers vary differently, they vary, but 80%. My numbers were about 80%. Out of 10 listing appointments I go on, 8 good listings. Because I know that I would do a terrible disservice to the seller, to the community, to the buyers, to myself, to the other agents, if I overprice the fucking thing. Nobody wins. That just means the seller did the better presentation than I did. And what they do, the reason they do that, is because you don't have enough certainty here, and they know it, they feel it. See, if I'm certain, this is the price it's going to cause it to sell, here's what it's going to sell for, and if I don't have a doubt, well, I hope I'm not wrong, then I got it. And they will feel that certain, they will follow it. Because I know the best service, the best goodwill I can provide for my clients is price the property that will cause it to sell. And the decision they have to make is not for how much. That number has been established, and it's completely out of our control. What we're here to discuss it is the $137,000 that we're going to get after paying off the mortgages and all the fees, enough to get you the lovely home in Florida. Would you be better off here? Would you be better off there? That's the decision they need to make. It is not about the money. It's never about the money. It's never about the price. The price is what the price is. It is about the motivation. It's about the core driving emotion. It is about why they want to move. And how bad do they want to be in Florida? That's what matters. We don't make logical decisions. Let me close it with an example. When I was a homeless agent, I lived in my beat-up Cadillac DeVille in Pico Rivera, California, serving Pico Rivera, Whittier, Southern California. My big dream was to own a Mercedes. I had never had one up till that point. I had my old beat-up Cadillac. And then, as you know, I got my shit together, got my head straight, started doing things differently, stopped all that sailing bullshit, and I focused more on connection, communication, psychology. Started working high probability leads, FSBOs, expireds, open houses, referrals, all that good stuff. Within 10 months, I was out of the car and in a beautiful condo. I bought my first property. I was all excited. It was beautiful, you know. It had a tennis courts and swimming pool. I felt so good. And I got my first Mercedes. And when I was talking to my parents, I said, do you know, Mom and Dad, because they knew financially I wasn't first, you know, the millionaire. And so I called them and I said, oh, I got this Mercedes. It's awesome. It's a 300e. It's beautiful. It's big. It has a great resale value. It's very safe. Great on gas mileage. And all of that was bullshit. All of that had nothing to do with why I wanted to buy them, why I bought the Mercedes. The reason I bought the Mercedes is because it felt so fucking good. I felt so high status. There was so much prestige in that car. There was such a joy to drive it that it felt so good. And it meant the resale value, the numbers and all that was just my logical reasoning to justify the purchase. And I loved it. I'm now on my fifth, sixth Mercedes. I've been a very loyal customer. My point is this, friends. The people you're trying to help are emotional human beings. They don't make logical decisions. And it had nothing to do with their intelligence. They're intelligent people. But they're emotional people first. And something as important and something as big as selling their house is huge. And it's not easy to them. So your job as their guide and counsel and advisors, one, understand that it's always the emotion that's the culprit. Two, address the emotion. Come in with compassion, understanding, with some patience. And also with certainty, where you know the best way to help them is to price it right from the beginning. That's the best thing you can do. There's no advantage taking overpriced listing with built-in price reductions, with telling them, well, it's overpriced and we're going to reduce it in 2 weeks. You're chipping away on your credibility and your expertise. You're chipping away on your professionalism. It's a bad idea. Besides, you can do this right from the beginning. The reason you don't, well, you do, but the others don't. Because they're afraid. Well, what if it sells for more? Or what if I reduce it and I still sell it? I need the money. Drunken monkey. Be true to yourself, to your high standards of taking good listings. One of the things I would tell my sellers is, you know, I have two rules. One, I only work with people I like. And I work with only people who like me back, where we have a good relationship. That's rule number one. And rule number two, I only take listings I am 100% certain I can sell. I don't have expired listings. What I take, I sell. There's confidence behind it. But I need to deliver. Helpful? What do you guys say? Yeah? Ellen, what's happening, Ellen? She says, great point over here in Belgium. Hey, you're in Belgium. That's awesome. What time is it now? Jeez, it's like 11 o'clock, Ellen. You should be in bed. Over here in Belgium, most agents are so convinced they're gods of real estate and they are ones determining the price. And of course, the seller thinks they do. In most, not easy convincing the seller to set a realistic price, do that. You don't need to convince them. This is not about convincing. Again, would indicate pressure on, I'm going to beat them up. You don't need to do that. It is somewhere else. And of course, this, I'm sure, would help you. Okay? Carlos Iglesias in the house saying, hello, Tracy. Side note, I fucking love my Mercedes, says Tracy. That's awesome. Me too. It's a good car. Always great info, coaches, Kara. Hey, Kara, wanted to say something. Glad you're here. Thank you for this. What a lovely card. Kara sent me this beautiful card. Your dream big encourages others to dream big too. A nice, lovely thank you note from Kara. Very much appreciated. This really touched my heart. Thank you so much. All right, guys. Time to go get some sellers, help some people. I hope these points were helpful. More to come. If you want my help, you want to get my systems, come on board. Would love to have you. You know about the path. I've been talking about it for a while. Come join us. It's only $197 a month. Every month we focus on different things, building your systems, lead generation, follow-up, listing presentation, time management, all that good stuff. Go to goborino.com, jump on. Would love to have you. Friends, that's it for today. Hope you enjoyed the live. More good stuff coming your way. Coach Borino signing off. Time to take care of the family. It's probably dinner time, glass of wine time. All right. Stay warm, stay safe. I'll talk to you real soon. Coach Borino signing off. Let's go get him. Bye, everybody.